evening, you're watching The Last Word. I'm Sanjana. Caught in the crossfire. This is the fate of some of the students who have been forced to go home, who can't write their exams, who have been hurt, many of them who have been scared. Although the face-off between students and the state and the police has a deep-rooted history in India, the empty classrooms, shut down universities and delayed exams are a concern. And while democracy may allow the freedom of expression, it certainly cannot take away someone's right to education. So tonight we're going to do something extremely simple. We're going to put forth 6 views tonight. Should students be out protesting on the streets, or should they be in their classrooms? That's what we're going to be looking at tonight, this evening. Let me quickly introduce my guest as we speak. Joining me tonight is Chakrapani Oja, research scholar of BHU. He's going to be joining us shortly. Saket Moon, Vice President of JNU-SU. Ashish Lamba, elected Secretary of DUSU, that's the NSUI. Ambuj Mishra, social media convener of ABVP. Rohan Matthews, a student joining us from the SPM University in Bengaluru. Ejaz Ahmed, leader, Student Federation of India. Ejaz, let me come to you first. Has protests and politics exceedingly taken over the running of an institution? Because it has come to this, that the entire system now is hijacked by vested political interests, and it's completely taking over the administration of the university.
No, not at all. I think this is a narrative that is peddled by the BJP. I think I think it is the politics that determines each and everything of the students, of the society, as well as what kind of socio-economic policies there should be. And if it is politics that is determining each and everything, why the student will not determine their politics? Because it is this politics only that will determine their future. But if you will see in the present time, as you can see from last 4 days, consistently Aligarh Muslim University as well as Jamia are in news. But if you will see the history of those two campuses, they were particularly the centers of anti-imperialist struggle. It were these institutions who fought against the British colonialism. And if you will see across the universities, they have a history of fighting against during the national movement. If you will see the Bengal, if you will see the other places. But in present times, what is happening? BJP does not want any kind of dissent to come out. And particularly if you will see from last so many things are happening around. You will see one assault is of privatization in the universities. If you will see in JNU, what is happening there? Massive fee hike from 10 rupees to 2,500 rupees. Fee is being increased there. And now if you see in the Jamia, as well as in the Aligarh, as well as in the other parts of the India, there are protests are going on the cab as well as on the other forms. But this government is trying to muzzle the voices of the students. That is happening on around the whole country, and those voices who are trying to oppose the government as well as its policies, the BJP, there such kind of discourses are coming like they are anti-nationals, they are this, they are that, they are this. But what the students are demanding, we should listen to the students, and if this it is the students who determine the future of the country, and why we are not listening to them? Question is that. And if you see in Jamia, what is happening? Police is entering in the premises of the university without having any admission, without having any. The university authorities have categorically rejected that the police did not came through our permission. They have beaten the students there in the reading halls as well as in the other places. And this is an absolutely a kind of authoritarian regime that is taking over the universities.
Okay, that's accepted.
Hello?
But you know, but let me just come to you, Saket, because JNU is boycotting its exams. STIS boycotted classes last year. BHU has boycotted classes. So what about the students? Because there are scores of them. Of course, there are protesting students, and you know, definitely the action, the kind of violence is questionable. But there are also a section of students who have pinned their hopes on studying. They actually want to do just that. Aren't these protests coming in the way of that?
Yeah, I'll answer that with a simple explanation. First of all, our protests are to study. Our protests are for our right to education. The fee hike in JNU against which we are protesting would lead to the exclusion of nearly more than 40% of JNU students. Students who have come to JNU to study, to build a better future, and the proposed fee hike would lead to them leaving the university. So this is a protest to study. And as we have a saying in this current movement, that some exams are given inside a classroom and others are given in front of a barricade. and that we have seen that in JNU, our protest is for the right to education. And I think the question that you have put before all of us today is much more pertinent as today being the 16th of December. The same day when in 2012, after the brutal gang rape in Delhi, a movement was started, a movement which was spearheaded by the student movement and the JNU Students Union. And that time, that movement led to gender violence coming into the national discourse, issues of gender coming into the national discourse, formation of the Justice Verma Committee, and many other things. So, student politics, when politics decides your future, students will also decide their politics, and it is our right to decide our politics. And universities are the spaces where we can debate, where we can discuss, and we can educate ourselves. This is a form of education that I think the government wants to deny to us. Education of politics and education of what an ideal society should be and how we can move towards that society. And what is happening in JNU, what is happening in Jamia, what is happening in AMU is a manifestation of the government's, and more specifically the Home Minister's own political agenda, which is being imposed very brutally upon all of us. I mean, in Jamia we saw what happened, in AMU what is happening, in JNU too there has been a contingency of police force deployed inside the campus right now. And when all of this is happening, it is happening because all our campuses are on the boil. They're on the boil for might be different issues, but today our issue is the reclamation of our fundamental rights, the reclamation of our constitution, which the BJP wants to take away from us. The Citizenship Amendment Act, the All India NRC, all of these want to take away our secular notion of citizenship. They want to
but Saket,
dilute
just
the
for a
secular
second
nature
there,
of our
just for a
constitution.
second there, nobody is questioning the reason for protest. We are merely questioning that there is a section of students who are getting caught in the crossfire. There is that section who just wants to say, look, let's just study, let's just focus on going to class, let's just focus on writing our exams, let's not get into protesting all the time, so much so that it takes such a violent turn and classes have to be disbanded completely, universities have to shut down. You know, just today we've got I'll pull those up, the visuals of these young girls leaving the university because they're so scared. That is what we're asking today. Nobody is questioning the issues that any of the students are raising.
Look, first of all, I'd like to say this. The violence that is happening is primarily on the violence that the state is actually doing on students in order to curb our rights. And I understand some students want to study. Everyone wants to study. I came to the university to study. And that right to study, if today some students cannot access that right in our universities, that right is being forcefully snatched away from them, then that day is not far ahead that that right will be taken away from other students who might not have the same problems today. But again, as we have been saying, the government is turning universities into a war zone. Deployment of police personnel inside universities, violence inside universities, this is something that we have to be extremely worried about. This is something that we should condemn categorically, because this is something that is taking away our right to education, not protests. Protests have been happening in universities today, they have been happening yesterday, they will happen tomorrow. But this kind of a brutal suppression of those protests, that is what continuously we have been seeing, that universities have been placed under cyanide eye. That is something that the government is doing purposefully with an agenda, and that agenda is to take away our right to protest, our right to dissent, and our right to education.
Let me ask Ambuj Mishra. Okay, so then let me ask Ambuj Mishra. So then, are you trying to say then, Ambuj Mishra, would it be fair to say that the students here have no role to play, that they can't exercise any kind of restraint here, that they can't actually, think of different ways to protest?
So see, there are two things here. Actually, one thing is protest. Second thing is the way of protest. For the very first day, ABVP has cleared its stand that we are against fee hike, and we did our protest too. And we were with JNUSU as well. But we were actually against the way of protest they have shown in their protest. They become violent in some ways. They have defaced the walls of JNU. You have seen the news of this vandalization of statue of Swami Vivekananda. So we are against this thing. And they were saying that they in their protest they are like they have declared the total lockdown of the schools or boycott of examination, then why they are forcing student at the gate of schools that they should not go to give the examinations? Because most of the students, many of the students are there who want to give the examination, but they are hampering them to give examination. We are with the students when it comes about the massive fee hike, and we are protesting against it as well. We have protested, and you must have heard about like 6.41 crore has been released by this UGC as well. So it is important thing that we are protesting, but the way of protest is very important. ABVP believes that students are the citizen of today, not of tomorrow, and universities are the open hotspot of which thrives democracy, and exchange of ideas takes place here. But what the important thing is, these ideas and things must be voluntary. That means there must be a clear balance between education, protest, and politics here. This must not be this must be voluntary, peaceful, and lawful, but must not be
but that's exactly
intimidating.
that's not what's happening, and it's not just in Jamia, it's really all over the country, be it in JNU, be it in BHU. None of that is actually happening. Rohan Matthews, you're trying to complete research. Has this been problematic, or would it be if you were to encounter these protests on a regular basis?
To be very frank, protesting and dissenting is my basic right. And the government has no particular right to come and tell me that you cannot protest. You're supposed to be sitting in a classroom. You're this is not part of your syllabus. You're only supposed to study, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. When you make laws, when you make rules, when you make regulations and pieces of legislation that affects my humanity, that affects my rights, I will get out onto the streets and I will fight. And that is me. There are scores of other people who are like me, who will get onto the streets and fight. I do agree with you that it's very unfortunate that a lot of people who do not really want to protest also get caught in this process of crossfire while the protesters and the police and all of them happens. But you do also understand that this comes from a space of gross privilege. Privilege that all of these pieces of legislation does not affect them. It affects me as an individual. It affects me as a person. It affects my friend who's a Dalit. It affects my friend who is a Muslim. I think calling them brothers are too overrated. They are my friends, and they are the ones who are affected, and all who claim that, listen, I do not want to, I'm absolutely apolitical. Being apolitical itself is a political statement rooted in privilege. So when are you going to address this particular privilege at all? Secondly, when I'm talking about central universities funded by the government and all of these other places, I'm talking about me accessing education in institutions in this country that this country claims to offer in the name of higher intellectual studies, in the name of everything that I would require in terms of my fields of research, my fields of interest that satisfies my educational requirements at any point of time. Now, when I bring this into the particular picture, before I start protesting, before I start my educational studies, before I start my academic feat, you also need to understand that when you make rules and laws, that if I am a Muslim and if I do not have documents, if let's say my documents were destroyed in a fire, or if my documents were lost in a flood, that I'm no longer a citizen, that definitely affects me, and that definitely affects my family, and that definitely affects a lot of people in this country. And to be very honest, think about it. Think about India's cultural history. Think about India's connotational history generally. Everybody who's led wars, who's protested, who's bled till the last drop of their blood has been soaked up by the road, have been women, students, and Dalits, farmers, and all of them who have literally had to bleed out on the road only so that the government acknowledges the fact that we are human. And the government is the government. They are elected representatives. They are not my toxic parent. They are not there to sit and police me and give me morality lectures. They are to make sure that I am accessible to all sorts. I am protected one, and I am given access to everything that the country can offer to accentuate my academic brilliance.
All right. Okay. So Ashish Lamba then because I'm going to ask this again, because can students show restraint? Is there an option at all? Because, Rohan was of the opinion that perhaps, if we imply that, you can say that you're not being able to attend class, that or that you're apolitical, it comes from an entitled space. But having said that, there are also many students who have probably fought tooth and nail to make it to this university in the first place, to come and attend classes, and nobody is taking away their right to question. But perhaps, they actually want to finish their education. They want to get jobs. Are we coming in the way of that with these protests?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to say that the NSUI, as a representative of Delhi University Student Union, we are in solidarity with the students of Jamia and AMU. You must also come on the point that why has this protest erupted? Because of the policies which the BJP government or the central government is trying to put on the students throughout various universities, not only in Delhi University. You must have seen the fees hike incident in JNU, because the policy leads to the privatization of education, and this leads to affect not only a group of people but a large number of students across the country. So protesting is our constitutional right. In a way, yeah, it is to be said that there needs to be some protesting, but the kind of incident the police has shown in Jamia and AMU, and today as seen in Delhi University itself as arts faculty, how the police took away the students in the police van and put them at the police station. So protests are because there are things at stake which are happening wrong. So the protest erupted. We must go to the cause of the protest, as said.
Okay, all right. So then, Chakrapani Ojha, do you agree with that? Can the students not show, आप इससे सहमत है that they cannot show any other way of protest? हमने ये ब्रिटिश राज के साथ किया है, तो why is it that every protest has to be violent? Every protest has to mean that there's going to be a detention, there's going to be an arrest, there's going to be tear gas. Why is it like that? I mean, there are students over here, there are girls who are scared, they've been crying, people have gotten hurt, they have gotten injured. Why do we need to get into all of that in the first place?
Hello. हेलो
Yes, go ahead.
हेलो
बोलिए
जी मैं आपके माध्यम से या लोगों को बताना चाहता हूं कि वर्तमान समय में जो स्थितियां हैं, सबसे पहले महत्वपूर्ण यह है कि शिक्षा का तात्पर्य क्या है। लोगों को यह समझना होगा कि शिक्षा का तात्पर्य और जो है राजनीति का तात्पर्य क्या है, दोनों के मायने क्या हैं। शिक्षा का तात्पर्य है, जो कि शिक्षा संस्कृत भाषा का शब्द है, पाणिनि व्याकरण का शब्द है, जिसका तात्पर्य है प्रेरणा। और दूसरी महत्वपूर्ण चीज यह है कि जो राजनीति है वो भी उसका अर्थ है कि राजदीप्तो धातु से बना है, ऐसे नीति और नियम जो समाज को, राष्ट्र को प्रकाशित करें, एक उत्थान की ओर ले जाएं। अब विषय यह है, ये दोनों चीजें कहीं ना कहीं समाज के निर्माण में महत्वपूर्ण है एवं सहायक है। यदि शिक्षित व्यक्ति राजनीति नहीं करता है, राजनीति में भाग नहीं लेता है, तो आचार्य चाणक्य की बात मुझे याद आती है कि आचार्य चाणक्य ने कहा था कि राजनीति में भाग न लेने का दंड यह है कि अयोग्य व्यक्ति आप पर शासन करता है। तो यदि शिक्षित व्यक्ति राजनीति में भाग नहीं लेगा तो तमाम सारे उसके दुष्परिणाम होंगे। दूसरी महत्वपूर्ण बात यह है कि जो प्रोटेस्ट, जो धरना प्रदर्शन चल रहे हैं, यदि धरना प्रदर्शन या इस तरह के प्रदर्शन नहीं चलेंगे तो समाज में बहुत सारी ऐसी विकृतियां उत्पन्न हो जाएंगी प्रशासन द्वारा या व्यवस्थाओं द्वारा, जो समाज हित में नहीं होंगी। महत्वपूर्ण यह है कि यदि एक हिंदी के साहित्यकार ने लिखा है कि कलम के सिपाही अगर सो गए तो वतन के मसीहा वतन बेच लेंगे। यदि समाज में प्रदर्शन नहीं हुए, गलत लोगों का विरोध नहीं हुआ, तो तमाम ऐसे लोग हैं जो हमारे समाज को, हमारे राष्ट्र को गलत दिशा देने में तनिक भी नहीं चुकेंगे। ये भी महत्वपूर्ण और विचारणीय विषय है। दूसरी चीज मैं आपके माध्यम से बताना चाहता हूं कि यदि शिक्षा सही मायने में सही दिशा में दी जा रही है तो किसी को कहीं कोई आपत्ति नहीं होती है, लेकिन यदि तमाम लोग ऐसे समाज में या विश्वविद्यालय प्रशासनों में उपलब्ध हैं जो गलत तरीके से इन सब चीजों को परिभाषित करते हैं, तो कहीं ना कहीं वो निंदनीय है। दूसरी चीज कि यदि हेलो
जी जी बोलिए 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 बोलिए।
यदि ऐसे लोग जो विश्वविद्यालय प्रशासन के द्वारा एक तरह से प्रश्रय दिए जाते हैं, तमाम विश्वविद्यालयों में ऐसी घटनाएं देखी जा रही हैं कि प्रदर्शन लोग कर रहे हैं विश्वविद्यालयों की आड़ में और हिंसक प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं। महत्वपूर्ण यह है कि यदि प्रदर्शन हो तो किसी को कोई आपत्ति नहीं है। 1 महीने 4 दिन काशी हिंदू विश्वविद्यालय के छात्रों ने प्रदर्शन किया और शांतिपूर्वक लोकतांत्रिक रचनात्मक तरीके से किया, लेकिन यदि प्रदर्शन में हिंसा आ जाती है तो वो किसी भी समाज, किसी भी राष्ट्र, किसी भी व्यक्ति के लिए हितकारी नहीं है, उसका शुभ कारिणी नहीं हो सकती है।
बिल्कुल
तो
बिल्कुल।
इस विषय पर कहीं ना कहीं हम सभी को विचार करना है। प्रदर्शन करना बिल्कुल उचित है, लेकिन प्रदर्शन कैसा होना चाहिए? रचनात्मक होना चाहिए, समाज को दिशा देने वाला होना चाहिए, हिंसक नहीं होना चाहिए।
जी, Ejaz Ahmed, that's exactly the point that we're trying to raise here, because as Mr. Ojha rightly said, that the protest can be done silently as well. There are students here who have come to study, who don't want to be part of politics, and unfortunately, it is a deep-rooted and a very proud tradition, of course, in India to have this kind of politicization of educational institutions, but there are many students who don't want that. Are you not being unfair to them then?
No, not at all. See, one thing is there. Who is forcing the students to do the violence? It is actually the state as well as it is apparatus who are doing the violence. You see the case of Jamia. The students were protesting there peacefully, and police went there inside the library halls, and first of all they switched off the lights, then each and everything, then it was tear gas there, then a brutal lathi-charge. In fact, you can see the pictures of the students in the washrooms as well as in the other places, and see who is doing the violence. And now we are coming to the JNU. You see, like most of the 40% of the students will not be able to pay the new drastic fee hike. So who is forcing, who is shutting the doors of the university, particularly for the marginalized sections? It's the ruling class, it's the BJP who is closing the doors for the poor, for the marginalized, for the Dalit, for the and also for the Adivasis. And now, as far as these protests are going on the policies of the government, you can see, if you will see the JP movement, if you will see the other movements, it is a tradition that students each and every time has been political, and if the student will not be political, then who will be political? And while coming to the JNU, one of my friends was saying that there is a kind of vandalism, there is a this, there is this. It is not like that. See how VC, Vice Chancellor in the university, has completely ruined the university. He has trampled the institutional as well as the other norms there. He is increasing the fees there, and he is not ready to have a dialogue with the elected student union there. And he is passing such kind of a draconian measure.
Right,
he is passing such kind of a draconian measure while having executive meeting 8 kilometers away from the university, and then he is imposing that on the students. So, and when the Vice Chancellor is in fact not able to listen to the students, then you say, and what kind of a violence? No student, never in any protest we have done any form of violence. If you see in JNU, in last 4 protests, there was a brutal violence that was done by the Delhi police, and that happened yesterday also. Unfortunately, you can see how the students have been terrorized in Jamia. In fact, I was talking with my friends last night in Jamia. In fact, they were saying that we were just reading and we were in shock when the police entered in the library halls and they started beating us randomly. And then you can see there are, like, I think more than 50 students have been injured there very severely. And I have a friend who have got 11 stitches in his head, and he was reading in the library. In fact, this BJP government is making universities as war zones, and in fact those universities, those institutions who have contributed for this nation building, who have contributed from each and every aspect, and I have told you in the beginning, particularly these two centers, these two universities, Jamia as well as Aligarh, they have been the centers of anti-imperialist struggle.
Okay.
And this is a tradition. I mean, this government is war on its own students.
Okay, all right. चक्रपाणी ओझा, आप कुछ कहना चाहते थे?
जी, मैं एक बात कहना महत्वपूर्ण चाहूंगा कि प्रदर्शन और आंदोलन ये तो हमारे देश की संस्कृति का हिस्सा है। यदि इस तरह की स्थितियां बनेंगी तो कहीं ना कहीं जो आज तमाम जनमानस के लोग ये देख रहे हैं, वो आने वाली पीढ़ी यह सोचेगी कि यह गलत है। परंतु मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगा कि अगर यह गलत होता तो गांधी जी ऐसा करते, माननीय जयप्रकाश जी जो हमारे सांस्कृतिक धरोहर है वो ऐसा करते, माननीय महामना जी जिनके विश्वविद्यालय में आज मैं स्वयं शिक्षा ग्रहण कर रहा हूं, वो तमाम आंदोलनों का हिस्सा बनते। ये जो प्रदर्शन और आंदोलन है, ये शिक्षित व्यक्ति और राजनीतिक व्यक्तियों के द्वारा किया गया समाज के निर्माण में एक प्रयास है। इसको महत्वपूर्णता से हर व्यक्ति को लेना चाहिए।
So that's exactly the point we're raising, Ashish Lamba, because violent means aren't really the way to get anything done. Even when it comes to, gherawing the vice chancellor or gherawing these offices, sure, by all means protest, sit silently, express dissent, but getting into violence is not really going to bring anything.
Well, first of all, I'd like to tell you that when does a protest get violent? Like students in Delhi University today were protesting peacefully, but as on the directions of the government to the police or by the police officials, they were thrown out and taken to the police station because they are being made to stop, and so they could not raise their voices. So this is something, the protest gets violence only because when the students, the normal students of universities are not being able to express themselves as they are being forcefully stopped. And I would also add a point in this. Not only the protest or the fees hike incidents or the police brutality which is being done in DU, there are incidents where in Delhi University where the curriculum of the syllabus are also being changed on the directions of the central government, where the ideology of the Gandhi and the Ambedkar is going away and the constitutional rights are being faded away.
Okay, all right. Ambuj Mishra, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I just want to say, my friend said that regarding the protest thing, there are two things. One is protest in a democratic way, and what other thing is like violent protest. You see, ABP has also done many protests, and we are in protest since very first day of this fee hike. But you see, the walls of administrative building, they have defaced it completely. They wrote the slogan of Lal Kila, something like Lal Kila, Lal Nisan kind of slogans there. So ultimately, you have defaced the walls of university. It is coming up to the, it is getting added in the revenue of the university ultimately, and we students are going to face that. Second thing is, forceful protest is like that. I told you that many students want to give their examinations, many students do not want lockdown, but forcefully JNUSU is like hampering, letting them to hampering them to give examinations. And this is very unfortunate that police enters in the campuses, and this is very condemnable act by the Delhi police. They have beaten up the students who were going to parliament for the march. We condemn it. But important thing is JNUSU is protesting in a very violent way as well. This is a point to notice. People were saying, my friend was saying about the point that students were. It is very. I say that it is very unfortunate that that police enters in the campus. But in the video, you were also showing that video here of the reading room. In the 11th second, some student was saying that क्यों अपना नुकसान क्यों कर रहे हो, शीशे क्यों तोड़ रहे हो. Might be possible police might have come inside and they have beaten up the students. They are common students as well to whom police might have beaten up.
Right.
But there is a point in the 11th second, some students was saying that अपना नुकसान क्यों कर रहे हो, शीशे तोड़े जा रहे थे वहां पर. This is also a point to notice. So there must be a balance between the protest, education and politics in the campus as well. We should not exceed, or we should not cross the boundary of this as well.
So there needs to be a balance. There needs to be a balance. I'm
ABP
seeing,
has also done protests.
Okay, I'm seeing everybody raising their hands, wanting to come in. I'm going to come to you, Ashish, first, and then I'll come to Saket. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, my friend from ABVP just told that they have been silently protesting. Today in Delhi University in the morning, there are video footages available on the national handle of NSUI. Peacefully, students were protesting against the CAB bill and the incident of the brutality by the police in Jamia. ABVP elected members and their executive councillors in Delhi University are fully shown in the video harassing students and making them to go away so they could not protest. And I don't know what their orders have been from their high command, but I really think that they are being told to boycott those students and not to let them protest.
All right. Saket, you wanted to respond to Ambuj. Go ahead.
There are a couple of things that I just want to add in here. First of all, there is, I think, this underlying assumption that all protests are, somehow inherently violent or coercive in nature. That, I think, has to be clarified first of all. The JNU Students' Union has never supported or condoned any violent form of protest. And if you take a look at our own protests in JNU, for the last 3 times when we have gone outside the gates of our campus, we have gotten beaten up very badly. Police has lathi-charged us. They have misbehaved with women students. They have detained a lot of students. Even though the protests were completely peaceful, democratic, and in no way they were illegal. And even when that happens, when something like what Ambuj was saying, and I want to just come in very quickly on that. He has been harping on the point that that writing slogans on walls is violence. Now, that is a very questionable statement, but I would like to bring in what my friend just said before me, that I was going to bring in, that if you see the videos from today's protest in DU where the police lathi-charge, the police is lathi-charging students, ABVP activists are beating up students, and that is exactly what has been happening in JNU. ABVP activists have been beating up students with rods, sticks, blunt instruments, students who are peacefully protesting, and when he is saying that the whatever protest is happening is undemocratic, it is coercing students. All decisions that the JNU Students' Union has taken till now have been decided in general body meetings at the department or the central level or the university level or the school level. And if the ABP does not believe in these democratic bodies and does not participate in them, and then comes in and says that this is not our opinion, then I think it is very unfortunate and shows the kind of understanding of democracy that the ABP today has. And we have been witnessing in JNU, other campuses have been witnessing that as well. Since the election, before the election, continuous violence by the ABP. And I think that today brings in another point, that the violence, the onus of violence is upon the state, upon the government, upon the university administration.
Right. But
JNU has been doing peaceful protests for a very long time. Just let me complete. JNU protests, we have been protesting for a peaceful manner, but we get sent notices from the administration. Today, a student was given a notice to be evicted from the hostel, to be suspended just for protesting without any inquiry. That has been happening to us. The Vice Chancellor does not have a dialogue with us, and therefore the situation has escalated to this level. The government does not want us to have a dialogue, and admission does not want to have a dialogue with us, and that is something that is happening across campuses. This lack of dialogue is leading to an escalation of the situation. And again, the onus of normalcy, the onus of peace falls upon the administration and the government, and they are the ones who are breaking it.
Okay, accepted. But then there are also people who are not part of this, Rohan. Which we have been saying, which we have been driving home since the since the start of this debate, that this is essentially going to become a left, right, center debate. It is going to be students who are probably not involved in any kind of politics. They may have their fair share of opinions and ideologies, but they're getting involved in the political violence of it. And that becomes unsavory, that becomes unacceptable, because then you're playing with their future.
One thing that's important to understand is that no student would want to literally, put their life at stake, and no student, and talking about the political ones, the apolitical ones, everybody, nobody would want to be on the road protesting, bunking classes. Bunking classes, again, very questionable, but let's just say that nobody wants to be lathi-charged, nobody wants to face police brutality, nobody wants to be beaten up. So then why does this happen? This happens simply because there's militarization of the campus. You protest peacefully, you bring in CRPF, you bring in the police force. What you've been seeing through Jamia, DU and all of these places in Delhi is that the police has been treating students as though they are objects of meat which can be thrashed and pounded upon, and everybody's frustration can be released. That is just not right. In fact, it is not the protests that are hampering with the students' educational future. We in Bangalore had a protest today. We organized a lot of students to come in front of town hall and have a very peaceful protest. And yet 2 people were picked up for no reason, but apparently they were arrogant. Now, is there a section in the Constitution, is there an IPC section which says that, oh, a person is arrogant, henceforth he can be detained by the police? I really don't know. So it's this gross militarization of the campus, and it's not a coerced thing. Nobody is coercing or forcing students to take part in protests. Those who are affected, those who wish to stand in solidarity, those who wish to stand, choose to stand with their fellow men, fellow people, they come out and protest. We slogan here, we shout, we scream, but we do not barricade classes. We are not the ones who are walking in with pistols and opening fire at unarmed students. We are not the ones who are pretending that the students are the ones who are setting public property on fire. It is always the brute military force that is acting. So it's this ideology where democracy has been set aside, and you're trying to bring in this authoritarian dictatorship sort of a rule based on one's religious identity and try to imply it across something that has existed so peacefully for quite a long time.
Okay,
Why is this happening in the last 5 years? Why is this so accentuated in the last 5 years? Why is this becoming going so out of hand? Like, why are we protesting? We are protesting because we have no other choice. What other way do we express our dissent?
All right,
But
okay.
does that mean that we drag those who do not wish to participate in a protest by their collar to the roads? No, we don't.
But then they're getting affected, Ejaz, they're getting affected nonetheless. There are people over there, we have the examples, like I rightly said, and I'm going to reiterate, of women picking up their bags and leaving Jamia today. There are examples of that. There are perhaps students in JNU who wanted to give that exam. Ejaz, go ahead.
Definitely. See, definitely. If
Unfortunate.
You see the message of that girl who was talking with the media, it is unfortunate that how she was talking and how the police has terrorized the students there in Jamia. They does not want to be there. And in fact, the police paraded the students in the night that you come out from the Jamia. It is a terror that is spread by the police in the Jamia. And now the same terror is being spread in the JNU. If you will see from last 1 week, Vice Chancellor has invited police there in the campus, and police is there in civil dress in the campuses. What you are saying. Second thing, the point which I want to make is, if you will see the Twitter handle of Jamia Proctor, last night, he categorically rejected that the Delhi police did not take permission from him, and a university which is a central university by the act of the parliament. We want to ask the police, we want to question the police that from where does they get the permission to get in the premises of the university and then terrorizing the students, vandalizing the university, ransacking the property. My friend Amuj from ABP was saying that it were the students who are vandalizing the property. Basically, you put the visuals there, you put that video, you see how the students were cornered and how they were trying to save themselves. There are the visuals of bags, there are torn books and all that are left there in the reading halls where the students were reading. It is the state, it is the apparatus of the state which are trying to terrorize the students because they have so many policies that are full with venom. If you will see, something has happened very illegal, something has happened very unconstitutional. The CAB, which is trying to bring Muslims as a second-class citizenship. Why the students will not protest? Does the students does not think? Does the students does not have their mind? Then why we read? Then for what we read? And the second thing is, there is a consolidated assault of the privatization, of the commercialization and the centralization of the universities by this BJP government. They want to make education they want to make it a private good. They does not want a public education. It is an assault on the idea of a public university, and that is what is more shameful. And second thing is this part of communalizing the university.
Okay.
You see, in yesterday's protest, even we does not know who did the violence, but you can see the visuals of the BJP and all that. They were saying this was done by the students, and in fact, if you see the last message from the Jamia students yesterday, they categorically said that we have no.
Okay, Ambuj.
We are categorically rejecting the participation in the violence, and we are not part of any violence there.
But I think the point that Ambuj and even Mr. Ojha were trying to make was the fact that, it is not It is not about the protest. It is not about expressing dissent. It is about the vandalism and the violence that follow after that. And yes, it is questionable the way the police has acted and all of those things. Nobody is questioning, like we said, the issues over here. They're questioning the manner in which this has gone out of control. Go ahead, Ambuj.
My friend was saying about the democratic protest. So protest and struggle is the very soul of democracy. But if this struggle becomes a directionless, it becomes violence, right? The second thing I just want to add up, my friend Saket was saying about that defacing the walls of this administrative block and vandalization of the statue. It is the violation of law, defacement of public property act, violation of this act. And they were continuously protesting on the so-called Freedom Square, the administrative building. It is the contempt of the court as well. And second thing, I just want to say the students of Jamia and AMU, sorry, students of AMU were burning, this public property. So this is also, a violence. So how can you say about, and they were saying about that left parties are not doing violence. So I just want to make very clear that it was a very planned attack in a Periyar hostel of JNU in which many students has been attacked by them, and the president of that very hostel who is who has been beaten up by them, and he was in coma for 3 hours. And for these protests, you can see the walls. In many photos, it has become that they have written the Khilafat 0.2. What is that? So kind of slogans they are raising. In the slogan, they were raising that Hinduo se Azadi. What is that? That is like, creating violence and situation of, what is that?
Okay, Saket, you want to respond to that?
Couple of quick points. I mean, Ambuj just mentioned the 100-meter rule and the contempt of the Honorable High Court. And without questioning the wisdom of the High Court, I would just say that the contempt petition filed by the JNU administration also mentions a JNUC representative from the ABVP. What is their stand on that? That is their hypocrisy. And when we talk of the intimidation and violence of the state, let me just point out that in the last 2 weeks, my family and Ajaz's family have been visited by officers of the Intelligence Bureau. They have been intimidated, they have been questioned, and what is their role, what is our family's role in what we are doing in the universities? Why are they being harassed? And secondly, when we are questioning about violence, why without condoning any of the violence that might have happened yesterday by the protesters, let us make it clear that the violence that is being perpetuated by the state, that the intimidation that the state is today perpetuating in the name of the Citizenship Amendment Act and the National Register of Citizenship, that has to be made clear, where a minority people, Muslims, are being told that their citizenship would be declared null and void, they would be sent to detention centers. That kind of intimidation is something that we need to talk about right now. And upon the nature of protest, I think students who have been protesting across the country today have been led to a precipice. They have been led to a precipice by the government, where their opinions, where their democratic voices are being scuttled time and again, and from that precipice we are being pushed off. We are being pushed off that the JNU is the Jawaharlal Nehru University is not functioning academically for the last nearly 50 days. The Vice Chancellor is still having no dialogue with us. AMU has been shut sine die. Jamia has been shut sine die,
right,
just for protest, without any accountability. That is something that we need to talk about right now.
Okay, so Rohan, I'm going to come to you, but before that I want to bring in Chakrapani Oja. Chakrapani ji, do you agree कि आपको लगता है कि ये protest कम हो सकते हैं अगर जो पॉलिटिक्स है यूनिवर्सिटी में वो कम हो जाए, अगर गवर्नमेंट जो है अपने पॉलिसीज को थोड़ा चेंज करे? वी प्रोबेबली नीड क्लासरूम्स जहां पे फ्री थिंकिंग एनकरेज करे है, जहां पे इंक्लूसिव है, जहां पे हम तरह की बात कर सकते हैं. आपको लगता है कि शायद वो नहीं हो रहा है?
देखिए, मेरा ये मानना है कि ये जो प्रदर्शन है ये बिल्कुल कम हो सकते हैं यदि विश्वविद्यालयों में जिनकी जिम्मेदारियां हैं, जैसे विश्वविद्यालय प्रशासन, कुलपति, विभागाध्यक्ष, डीन, डायरेक्टर, यदि वो एक अपने छात्रों से जिनको वो शिक्षा देते हैं उनसे संवाद बीच बीच में स्थापित करें और संवाद से कुछ निष्कर्ष निकालें और उस तरह के आइडिया सरकार को दें जिस पर सरकार काम करे। और साथ ही साथ यदि अच्छे आइडियाज पर सरकार काम नहीं करती है तो साथ ही साथ सरकार को बाध्य करने की भी जिम्मेदारी छात्रों की होती है, इसमें कोई आपत्ति नहीं है। लेकिन महत्वपूर्ण यह है कि जो छात्र सरकार के प्रति प्रदर्शन करते हैं, सरकार के प्रति आंदोलन करते हैं, वो उनके आंदोलन का तरीका कैसा है। और साथ ही साथ यह भी महत्वपूर्ण है कि यदि आंदोलन हम रचनात्मक करते हैं, आंदोलन की दिशा सही तय करते हैं तो सरकार कहीं ना कहीं मानने के लिए बाध्य होगी। इस बात को मैं एग्री करता हूं। साथ ही साथ यह भी विषय है कि कई बार आंदोलनों में यह अनुभव किया जाता है, देखा जाता है कि छात्र ऐसी संपत्तियों को नुकसान पहुंचाते हैं जो हमारे लिए ही है, वस्तुतः हमारे उपयोग के लिए है। और इनके आय का स्रोत यदि देखा जाए इन सामग्रियों के तो कहीं ना कहीं यह हर उस किसान के टैक्स से आती है जो किसान तकरीबन 4 घंटे 5 घंटे मेहनत करता है और अपना पसीना गंवाता है, उसके बाद एक 2 रुपए का पार्ले जी यदि लेता है तो उसमें भी टैक्स होता है। उस तरह के तमाम टैक्सेस से सरकार हमें शिक्षा के क्षेत्र में फंडिंग करती है, अनुदानित करती है और उससे तमाम तरह की संपत्तियां आती हैं जो हमारे उपयोग के लिए होती हैं। यदि हम उन संपत्तियों को तोड़ते हैं तो कहीं ना कहीं ये किसान का अपमान है, हमारे उस माता पिता का अपमान है जो किसान है, जो खेती करते हैं। तो यह भी एक महत्वपूर्ण विषय है।
Okay. So I'm running out of time, but Rohan, really quickly, in conclusion, the nature of these protests, as somebody who's studying and obviously would like to also focus on their studies, besides, of course, having this kind of opinion, wanting to express dissent, the nature of these protests, can it actually be curbed? Because students are also perhaps alarmed that they have to fight so vociferously, violently and vehemently for issues that perhaps, should be taken up by the opposition, should have been taken up by the industrialists, should have been taken up by others.
To be very frank, we have no hope from the present government, we have no hope from the opposition. Let's be very clear on that. Jamia Millia, all of this rage was happening yesterday. Opposition was in a 5-kilometer radius from Jamia. They all slept. So let's just not get into how the opposition will stand up for this. Often when we are the ones who are affected, we are the only ones who are going to stand up for ourselves. Of course, we hate the fact that we have to get out onto street and we have to face the wrath of police, we have to be shot with water cannons, we have to be beaten up with a lathi. We don't do this out of sadistic pleasure. That's one thing that I would like for the entire country to know.
Right.
That is something which is very clear. We don't do it out of a sadistic pleasure. हाँ आज जाके पुलिस का थोड़ा मार खा के आएंगे. We don't do that. We do this only when we are affected. And as my friend Chakrapani just very nicely put it across, the world is not as dainty and rosy as it seems to be.
Okay.
You try to have a conversation with the government, they are just not willing to hear. Here it is difficult to even get a decent permission. Apparently you need permission to protest nowadays. So it is even difficult to get permission nowadays from the police. And the government, and you're talking about the government listening to us and us having this
but actually,
conversation
unfortunately,
with them like
Rohan, it's not nowadays.
Happening.
It's not nowadays, which is why this is very deeply rooted and a very proud tradition that India actually has.
Yes,
Thank you
and
okay. So I'm completely out of time. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to say thank you to all my panelists for joining us for that rather engaging discussion. Student politics and protests, like we have been saying, has a deep-rooted and very proud tradition in India, and while the need to question, the need to express dissent should be welcomed. After all, if we don't allow students to question, what are we even teaching them? But shouldn't these very students also focus on attending class, getting jobs, giving their exams? After all, that's also their future. Thank you so much for watching this evening.